Happy Wednesday, North Central Washington. Happy Wednesday, Wenatchee Valley. Goodbye to winter. Yeah, it's the last, few hours of winter on this Wednesday, the 20th day of March, 2019. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz. The spring equinox will come your way at 2:58 this afternoon. Winter will be done. Spring will be here in the nick of time, and we have spring-like weather for, again, the balance of this week, today, tomorrow, Friday, and then things change. That's just the way it is. I don't know why. We're just, it's like we can't catch a break when it comes to the weather, because now we have the first really nice stretch of weather we've had in a very long time, and you would hope that it would carry right into the weekend, the first weekend in spring, but it's not. It's going to cloud up, going to cool down, could even see a raindrop or two, but because the overnight temperatures are still very chilly. Yesterday's overnight low was 30. Our normal overnight low is about 36. So it's slowed down the snow melt quite a bit, and that's good news. We don't want really rapid snow melt. In fact, the National Weather Service sent us an update yesterday afternoon because the daytime temperatures are going to be about normal, but the overnight lows are below normal, and that means the snow is going to melt very slowly in the lowlands and very slowly in the upper part of north central Washington as well, even in the higher elevation. So they're not really expecting any real flooding at all, even on the small streams and the creeks and everything, because they're actually really low right now. So they're going to be able to take that extra runoff. In fact, we'll have a little bit more on possible flooding and possible concerns of flooding when we get to the news here in just a couple of minutes. It's fun to wake up at 2:30 in the morning and watch a baseball game that counts. The Mariners are on a pace to win 162 games this year. Yeah, they were victorious in Tokyo over the Oakland Athletics. We'll talk about that. And the Wenatchee Wild, who found themselves down in the 2-1 hole now in games to Cowichan Valley. The Capitals got the best of the Wild last night up in British Columbia. We got highlights coming your way when we get to sports, the news, as I mentioned before. Also, we have the obscure holiday today in history, birthdays. Everybody is entitled to my big his opinion. And in the conversation portion of this program, in the second half of the hour, it is Brad Hawkins, Senator Brad Hawkins, and his conversation with our award-winning news director, FitzSimmons. They communicated via Skype. Cal was in this very studio, Studio 7, here in Wenatchee, and of course Brad was in Olympia, and they had a nice little Skype session. You'll be able to see that interview in its entirety in the second half of the program, and it is now officially sunrise. In fact, it's kind of strange. Yes, the solstice is today. I'm sorry, the spring equinox is today. It's the spring, so it would be the equinox. But we're already past that 12 and 12 mark. We have more than 12 hours of daylight now per day. It's never exactly right on. Sunrise just happened, 7:04. Sunset is at 7:13 tonight, and then tomorrow sunrise will be at 7:02. Sunset at 7:15. So we're gaining about 3 minutes of daylight a day, a little bit more than 3 minutes of daylight a day. And by the time we get to Friday, sunrise will be before 7 o'clock. I can live with that. If you're ready and I'm ready, let's take you around North Central Washington with our Valley View cameras. Our cross camera is a little on the fritz this morning. It decided to take the day off, so we're going to send somebody up there to the camera and put a bunch of quarters in it. Maybe that'll get it working again. So this is our Wenatchee Heights East camera, is what we call it. It's not too far from the cross camera. It's a little bit more to the east, and it's also a little bit lower in elevation, but it's still a beautiful view up there. And again, another day of significant snowmelt all over the Wenatchee Valley. But the good news, as we mentioned before, because the overnight lows are so cool, it's keeping the snow melting from happening in the overnight hours. If we get overnight lows, say about 40 or so, then the snow continues to melt in the evening hours. That's not going to be the case, which means that's why they're not really concerned about flooding, at least in this point of the spring. And there's no real significant warm-up coming. By the way, you'll find that out when we get to the weather forecast. Camera 2, where are we going? Lois. Lois is in control today. That is the Lake Chelan area. It looks to be McNeil Canyon. Looking back towards Lake Chelan, I'm guessing here, but it looks pretty good. Look at that pink sky. Oh me, oh my. There's not a cloud in the sky. The full moon overnight was just spectacular. Looks really good. It's good to see. It's good to see the snow receding, though, isn't it? Man, do we earn our springs around here? Do we not? Camera 3, where are we going, Lois? We're going to go see Kashmir from the Apple Andes camera. Boy, they had a real traffic snafu in Dryden yesterday morning. Those details will be coming up when we get to the news. It really tied up traffic, and then, of course, they had to do detours, and that led to another situation We'll fill you in on those details in just a couple of minutes. Looks like that camera's moving around a little bit. Let me look at the forecast map we have right now. According to this, the wind in Wenatchee anyway is only about 9 miles an hour, but because these cameras are so high, they're very sensitive and susceptible to the winds. It doesn't take a lot of breeze to move these cameras around a little bit. So no, there's not an earthquake in Kashmir. It's just shaking a little bit. Camera 4 is a slow dissolve to Wowee Billy Goat, and look at the sun bathing the greater Billy Goat area, Billy Goat Mountain. It looks like the Alta Lake Golf Course, of course, is still covered in snow, and that means Gamble Sands up there in Brewster is still covered in snow. I'm guessing here, but I can't imagine that they're anywhere close to opening. You can see Pateros, you can see the Methow River, you can see Mount Kalispell right smack dab in the middle of your screen. You can make out Brewster. Absolutely spectacular view from our Billy Goat camera, which for a lot of people is their favorite camera of our tour around the valley. All of these cameras, of course, courtesy of Localtel Sky-Fi high-speed wireless. All right, 6 minutes after the hour. What does Mother Nature have in store for you today? This is your forecast, and it looks pretty darn good to me. Again, high pressure is large and in charge. It's centered right over British Columbia. It's providing any kind of system to pay us a visit. It's going to stay that way Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, that high pressure ridge is going to start breaking down, and that's going to allow a couple of weak systems to pay us a visit. Thursday, 61, no complaints at all there. That should eliminate any snow that's still left over in the lowlands by the time we get to sunset on Thursday. But then some systems roll in, so the temperatures will be, all these temperatures you see here, just about normal for the afternoon highs and the overnight lows. That's good, but we're going to cloud up a little bit on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we're looking at mostly cloudy skies. Just the slightest chance of rain, below 20% on throughout the course of the weekend. Even though we'll cloud up, we're not really going to deal with any kind of precipitation until we get to Monday, especially Monday night. That chance of rain goes up to 40%, as you see there, under cloudy skies. We'll go back to a little bit of sunshine on Tuesday. So if you like the sunshine, today, tomorrow are your two best days. We'll start clouding up on Friday afternoon, fairly cloudy over the weekend. And again, best chance of measurable rain is going to be on Monday night, spilling into Tuesday. Don't need to do a pass report for you because it's fine. You're good to go. There's no avalanche control work scheduled on any of the major mountain passes. They're all reporting bare and dry conditions with lots of sunshine. So if you're traveling into the Cascades, please, ladies and gentlemen, use an automobile. It's just common sense. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. Go grab your cup of coffee and your orange juice or your donut or whatever it is that you do to start your day, and come back and I'll fill you in on the news. It's 8 minutes after the hour, and you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 8 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCWLIFE channel.
I got into medicine because I love it. I have always had this love of the ideal of the family medical provider. I really, really enjoy those kind of visits where it's not a specific problem so much as it is talking about ways to live a healthier, happier life. I'm excited to play a role in the health and wellness of everyone in the Wenatchee Valley. I look forward to seeing you at CVCH.
Here at the YWCA Thrift Store, our mission is to make positive change in the community by giving women and families the tools they need to regain economic stability through work experience and education. Featuring generously donated new and gently used furniture, housewares, clothing, and much more, the YWCA Thrift Store has something for the whole family. Shop, volunteer, or donate with us today.
Welcome back. Clear skies, 34 degrees at 10 minutes after the hour. We'll top off at just about 60 today and tomorrow. Slightly cooler and a lot more clouds expected for the weekend. Here's what's making headlines on this Wednesday morning. A semi-truck rollover just after 10 o'clock yesterday morning. This happened on U.S. Highway 297 near Dryden. It snarled traffic for several hours. Trooper John Bryant of the Washington State Patrol says it's still unclear what caused the driver to lose control.
Right before the Dryden turnoff, going westbound on State Route 2, a semi lost control. The semi had two flatbeds. They were full of pallets, full of flattened cardboard box. The truck rolled over on its left side, effectively blocking all the westbound lanes. A lot of or most of the pallets that are full of cardboard fell over the Jersey barrier and blocked lane 2 of eastbound State Route 2. Also, a few of them fell down. There's a gap between the roads there that goes down towards the river and fell on the bank just off the river. A couple fell on the river. A little bit of diesel and oil was spilled, but that was taken care of pretty quickly by fire, and so none of that got into the waterway at all.
The westbound lane was closed for 3 hours. Highway 2 completely reopened right around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Now, the driver of the truck was injured, was taken by ambulance to Central Washington Hospital, and according to Trooper Bryant, he may be transferred to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle in the near future. And shortly after the DOT set up those detours for eastbound and westbound traffic on North Dryden Road and Steins Hill Road, another semi went over an embankment. This happened on Steins Hill Road. It downed some power lines. Also lost his load of apples. The road, last I checked on the Chelan County Public Works Facebook page, has not yet reopened. They're having a heck of a time getting that semi righted and out of the way. Speaking of roads, a couple of roadwork projects we want to touch on today. They're going to be happening this week. All this week, Wenatchee Public Works will be putting in LED streetlights on Wenatchee Avenue and Chelan Avenue. The work takes place each night this week between 7 p.m. and 4 a.m. The road, of course, will remain open in both directions. Flagging services for rolling lane closures at streetlight locations will get you through. And then tonight, crews will be working on a fire line at 24 North Wenatchee Avenue from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Southbound traffic will be detoured. Well, 12th District State Senator Brad Hawkins told NCWLIFE yesterday that he'd never vote for him, but he is fascinated by Washington Governor Jay Inslee's campaign for president.
My first thought would be, I don't intend to vote for the governor, so let me just sort of preface my comments with that. He and I disagree on many, many policy issues and taxes and different approaches to government. But having said that, and I'm not a Democrat, but I certainly think it's pretty cool that he's running for president. When I look at, from a Republican point of view, and I look at the different Democratic candidates, and maybe there's 15 or 20 now that have announced, I actually think Governor Inslee is among the more qualified. He has congressional experience. He's served on both sides of the state. He has 8 years now or 6 or 7 years now of executive experience. Certainly our economy has been very strong while he's been our governor. There's differences of opinion as to who claims credit for that, but the facts are the facts, and our economy has been strong. So I think the governor brings a lot of experience to the arena. I think it's personally neat that he's on the national scene talking about issues and representing our state, because I noticed he wears the Washington Apple pin too, so he wears that proudly. So, the governor, even though he and I have disagreed on, like I said, many, many things, I do think he's a charismatic person. He's a likable guy. He is politically savvy. And when you look at his political qualifications, at least on paper, I think they stack up as good or better than any of the other Democratic members.
You can watch FitzSimmons' entire interview with Senator Brad Hawkins in the second half of this program. Little Red's Espresso and Bakery has been chosen as the brand new merchant for the antique Airstream trailer at Pybus Public Market. It's owned by Aubrey Dickinson. Little Red's already operates a popular espresso and bakery near Lake Wenatchee. Little Red's Espresso and Bakery will open for business at 6 a.m. this Saturday, and it'll open at 6 a.m. daily, 7 days a week. Moving forward, Little Red's was voted Best Roadside Coffee Stand in the 2017 King 5 magazine's Best Northwest Escapes. Well, in observance of National Flood Preparedness Awareness Week, NCWLIFE News received a status report on what to expect in Chelan County this spring. The mountain snowmelt is starting, but there are no reports of flooding so far this early in the season. But Assistant Public Works Director Josh Patrick says he anticipates possible problems in areas that have been prone to flooding in the past.
We don't have anything that's out of the ordinary, which I don't know if you'd necessarily call ordinary the last few years we've had, but we kind of talked about earlier, Mission Creek, keep an eye on the small streams like that, Ardenvor area, Mad River. that's where we did have that Cougar Creek fire last year. So some of the
Wherever you
reports.
have burn scars, you're going to have some elevated concerns then.
Correct, yeah. And the Ardenvor area was one community that we've had some concerns with, and we've had a public meeting up there to kind of let them know. We haven't done anything in advance of that quite yet. We are planning on putting some stream gauges up there later this summer when the river levels get down a little bit lower, so we can actually get out there and do it. But that'll be a more real-time way to measure the stream flows if something does start to creep the water flows up a little higher.
So as those streams start to rise, I'm sure there's going to be some issues with possible, flooding and that type of thing. What's available to property owners and residents in this area to help them?
Sure, yeah. For what we can provide, we've got a lot of sandbags at each of our district shops in Cashmere, Leavenworth, Aniat, and Wenatchee. So those are free to the public. People want to come down and get some sandbags, put them places on their property where they think it might help protect their homes or whatever. So other than that, we're just monitoring these streams, and I guess we also ask that the public keep an eye out too if they start seeing water where they necessarily haven't seen it in a long time, getting ready for those floods to come and impact their homes.
Also, I think there's also the issue of erosion, unstable slopes and that type of thing, and that's been a historic problem, I know, down in the Squilchuck area, going up, to, Whispering Pines?
Yeah, Whispering Ridge.
Cranmer Road. and those
Yep.
areas?
Yeah, Whispering Ridge, we're more in a monitoring status on that one. We haven't seen a lot of movement in the last couple of years, but it is typically springtime and late fall when the soils are really moist. We start to see more movement. Similar with Cranmer. Cranmer's a little more active. You can see what's actually coming down off the hillside. So our guys will plan on being out there to clean that muck off the road behind. We put some barrier up there to kind of help protect the road and keep a section of it open. And our guys will get behind it and dig the mud and goo out when they get a chance.
One last item to touch on before we move on down the road. I got this email from Darcy Christopherson, Festival Administrator. Came yesterday afternoon. To celebrate the 100th Apple Blossom Festival, they're bringing back over 100 past royalty members from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s on down the line. And for the Stimul Growers Grand Parade. And they need convertibles. They need, in fact, Jeeps will work. According to Darcy, they need about 40 to 50 convertibles and or Jeeps, so long as the top goes down and people can see the past royalty as they come by. So Darcy says, please, if you have a convertible or Jeep and would like to participate in the parade, go to appleblossom.org and fill out the slip, and there you go. You can just give them a call at the Apple Blossom Festival offices. But again, they need convertibles for the 100th Apple Blossom Festival Stimul Growers Grand Parade. The news with Grant Olson is available for you to watch on this very television station. It's on at 5, 6, and 10. 5, 6, and 10. Right here on TV. You can watch it by going to our website, NCWLIFE.com. We get it up and running just about 5 o'clock. We have also archived our newscast, so you can watch it whenever you want to. In fact, we have almost every show we've ever done archived. So you can go back and look how far we've come. Nah, don't do that. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us, news@ncwlife.com. You can drop us a line via our Facebook page. You can go to our Twitter handle. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call. You can go to our website and contact us. That's a simple way to do it. Get a hold of us. This is as much your station as it is ours. All right, 19 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a break. When we come back, sports. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCWLIFE channel. No matter what the season is, the weather is always fine at Wenatchee Valley Mall. Come explore the stores today. Wenatchee Valley Mall in East Wenatchee and online at WenatcheeValleyMall.com.
Walkabout Grill, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner in downtown Wenatchee and now downtown Leavenworth, where eating out is eating healthy.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Coons. Let's do sports. The Cowichan Valley Capitals beat the Wenatchee Wild 5-3, Game 3 last night of their playoff series. So they now lead this series 2-1. The Caps scored the game's opening goal in the final minute of the first period, so they led 1-0 at the first intermission. Then the host team came out and scored the first 2 goals of the second period. That gave them a 3-0 lead, and at that point, Coach Bliss Littler pulled goalie Austin Park and put in Cal Sandquist. 2 minutes later, the Wild began a nice little comeback. Arch Ecker had the call on the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network with the video courtesy of Hockey TV.
Still tied up in the corner. And we're into our final minute here of the opening period. Puck is into the feet of Gashevsky, and he couldn't find it. And the Capitals score. Brady Lynn found it in the slot. The puck came out of the corner, and it was into the boots of Matt Gashevsky. And had he been able to find it, it would have been fine, but he was spinning around. It hit him in his skate, and he couldn't locate it. Brady Lynn found it, quickly flung it on net. And the Capitals get on the board first. They lead it 1-0. Then to Tabor. He'll sling it over to the far corner. Spinning away, McIntyre wants to center. Broken up by Souter. Then a cross shot and a score. Got dug out of the right corner. Barger comes along, and Capitals will chip it out through center. Trevor Gerbel to play it for Sasaki. That'll get fluttered along and in and out. Bounces across for Gauthier. Gauthier drops it off to Selivanov. He's in, and his shot, and he scores. Face-off is going to be to the left-hand side of Pierce Diamond. There's a shot loose in front, and Souter shoots, and he scores. The shot initially from the right point as Modry tried to power it through traffic, but the rebound sat there at the side of the net. Lucas Souter able to lift it up high under the crossbar. Stands in and across from McIntyre. This is to the right-hand side of the netminder. Puck loose at the side and then shoveled down low by Adams. Gashevsky has it on the backhand, sends it around. Adams tries to wrap around, loose in front, shot, score! Nathan Iannone picks the top corner on the sling around. It got shoveled down behind the net, and Brian Adams looked like he was trying to wrap around, but instead he slams it over across for Iannone on the back door. He picks the top corner, and in the final minute here of your second period, the Wild have closed the gap to 1. Throws it out front. Steered away back behind the net, and the Wild continue to pressure. Souter over to Gerbel. He shoots and he scores! Trevor Gerbel has tied it for the Wild. The Wild with incredible sustained pressure in the offensive zone, and Trevor Gerbel goes top cheese. And the Wild have erased the 3-0 deficit. This game is even at 3 apiece. That's going to scoot past Cook. He and Selleck race after it on the end boards. Jammed up along the far side wall. And Brady Lynn curls his shot through traffic. Slapped home by Selleck. Their first shot on goal of the period. It finds the net at 13-10. The Wild net empty as they look for the equalizer. Here's Brandon Cook over on the right side for Gashevsky. He's into the zone. Gashevsky shoots, and a save made. Rebound flung at, but then cleared by the Capitals. Hustling after, it's going to be Brodziak. He'll get to it and finish it off. Brodziak comes along, and final seconds tick away, and that's it.
There you have it. The Wild will try and even the series at 2 games apiece. They need a victory tonight to do it, though. 7 o'clock is when they drop the puck at the Island Savings Center. All right, let's take a look at the Les Schwab Prep Soccer scoreboard. Eastmont traveled to Moses Lake, came away with a 4-3 victory. They're now 2-0 in Big 9 play. In the Apple Bowl, West Valley scored the game's only goal in the 10th minute, and they held on for a 1-0 win over the Panthers. It was Wenatchee's first loss of the season and their first game in Big 9 play. And in Caribou Trail League, Kashmir blasted Okanagan 6-1. High school baseball yesterday. Royal swept a doubleheader from Kashmir, won the opener 5-3. The nightcap 9-5. Ephrata took care of Cascade 15-2. On the Les Schwab Prep softball scoreboard, Ephrata edged Cascade, as you see there, 8-5. Tennis yesterday, West Valley boys shut out Eastmont 7-0. Same score for the girls' matches. The Rams came out on top over the Wildcats. And let's talk about baseball. Just about an hour ago, the Mariners finished playing the opening game of the baseball season in Tokyo. They edged Oakland in a high-scoring affair. The final was 9-7. Domingo Santana had a grand slam home run. Tim Beckham had a great Mariner debut. He went 3 for 3 with a 2-run home run. He scored 3 runs. On the mound, Marco Gonzalez earned the victory. He went 6 innings. He allowed 4 runs, 7 hits, and 4 strikeouts. The two teams will play again tomorrow morning, 2:35 a.m. I kid you not. Yusei Kikuchi will make his major league debut for the Mariners. He takes on Marco Estrada of the A's, and those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Wednesday, the 20th day of March, the last day of winter, the first day of spring. It's not a holiday. This is the obscure holiday, but there's nothing really obscure about the spring equinox. It comes every year. This year, it'll be, as I mentioned before, at 2:58 this afternoon. Originally, believe it or not, way back in the day, Julius Caesar, when he ran the planet, he established March 25th as the spring equinox. Just whenever it was always March 25th. They didn't have a great deal of knowledge about how the Earth rotated on its axis and this, that, and the other thing, so they just picked a day. They don't do that much anymore. It's a big holiday, though, in China. The Chinese tradition of balancing the egg, it's the old wives' tale, the one day of the year that you can balance an egg and it'll stay up is at the spring equinox. It's actually a myth. If you practice hard enough and you try hard enough, you can balance an egg any day of the week. And the reason they did that, because it was supposed to bring good luck. It was said that if you could balance an egg on its top or bottom, you would have good luck and prosperity for the entire year. I've never tried it. I think I'll do that today. See if I can pull that off. Anyway, happy spring equinox. It's almost here. All right, 28 minutes after the hour. Let's do Today in History. Happy birthday to the GOP, the Republican Party. There you go. They held their first convention, and they organized themselves in Wisconsin on March 20th, 1854, 165 years ago. They ran somebody for president a couple of years later. Didn't win. Then they hitched their wagon to Abe Lincoln, and that helped quite a bit. The Republican Party is 165 years old today. March 20th, 1915, 104 years ago, Albert Einstein published his general theory of relativity. His general theory of relativity was first published 104 years ago, and of course, as we all know, he was wrong. 58 years ago today, the Yankees fired the first shot in their rivalry with the brand new New York Mets. The Yankees announced in a press conference that the brand new National League team that will begin play in 1962 would not be able to use Yankee Stadium. Sorry, it's all ballpark. You can't play here. And the only ballpark in metropolitan New York that was left was the old Polo Grounds, and so that's why the Mets had to play in the Polo Grounds in 62 and 63 before they opened Shea Stadium, because the Yankees said, not in our ballpark. Thank you very much. It happened 58 years ago. And this is the 30th anniversary of this little strange press release. Didn't catch a lot of attention at the time. A lot of people didn't even pay any attention to it at all. Commissioner Peter Ubroth on March 20th, 1989, 30 years ago today, announced in a very tersely worded press release that he had begun investigating the behavior of Cincinnati Reds manager Pete Rose. Didn't identify the allegations, just said, we've been hearing some things about Peter Edward Rose that concerns us a little bit. He's been hanging around with some shady characters, and so just so everybody knows, we're looking into Pete. We all know what happened after that. That happened 30 years ago today. And finally, we got one birthday, but it's a good one. It's Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, born in this state in 1928. It's hard to believe he's been gone for 15 years, but he has been. Passed away in 2003 at the age of 74. Fun facts about Fred Rogers: he was colorblind. A lot of people don't know that. He swam every morning, 7 days a week. He never smoked. He never drank. He was a vegetarian. He was a vegetarian because he said, I simply won't eat anything that had a mother. That's good. His office, the show was filmed at WQED in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and his office there at the studios did not have a desk. It had a couple of sofas and a couple of big armchairs. He said, I don't like desks. Desks are a barrier. So he never had a desk in his office. Of course, as we all know, he fed the fish during the episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The fish, the original fish, he went through a few of them. were named Fennel and Frida. Bet you didn't know that. And my favorite quote from Fred Rogers. One of the greatest gifts you can give anybody is your honest self. I believe that kids can spot a phony a mile away. And he's right. Fred Rogers was born in this state in 1928. Hey, if you know somebody who's celebrating a birthday or a special day, go to our Facebook page and message us, and we'll do our best to get your local celebrity's birthday on the air. It's 7:31. We're going to take a break. When we come back, everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And then Cal FitzSimmons in his conversation via Skype with Senator Brad Hawkins, the latest goings-on in the legislative session in Olympia. You'll be informed when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCWLIFE channel.
Did you know that dental disease is the #1 illness affecting a pet's health? Bacteria from the mouth gets carried into your pet's blood and can affect the heart, lungs, and kidneys. By age 3, nearly 75% of pets have some form of dental disease. Dr. Shauna Bass and the staff at Paws and Claws Veterinary Hospital care about your pets, and good dental care can help your pet live a long and happy life. Learn how to clean your pet's teeth or see what Paws and Claws can do to keep your pet smiling by calling 888-PAWS or see us on the corner of 4th and Island, East Wenatchee.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike McNally on the NCWLIFE channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guests for, well, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike McNally on the NCWLIFE channel.
Corey here from Rose Tractor, your local Cub Cadet dealer. We've got the all-new Cub Cadet Ultima zero-turn mowers in stock, and they are awesome. The Ultima is like no other zero-turn you've seen. With a box tube frame and available Kawasaki engine, it has unmatched strength and performance, cutting up to 50% faster than lawn tractors. You have to see the Cub Cadet Ultima to believe it. Come on down and experience the Cub Cadet Ultima today.
SkillSource specializes in assessing and guiding youth, adults, and laid-off workers who want to improve their skills. Here you can attend in-depth workshops to assess skills and interests, make career plans, and learn computer basics.
Learning centers provide eligible youth and adults individualized computer-assisted basic education. Vocational training is arranged with approved providers like community colleges or on the job with businesses.
Don't wait any longer. Let's get working on the future you've been dreaming about.
For the first time in history, the world's greatest magicians come together live on stage. The Illusionists. This high-tech magic spectacular has shattered box office records and dazzled audiences of all ages across the globe. See them before they disappear. The Illusionists, live from Broadway.
There's no substitute for the power of cable TV advertising. With Solion Cable TV advertising, you can reach your target audience right here in North Central Washington. We understand their viewing habits and can precisely target your customers on great cable networks like these. Call Solion Broadcasting today and let us show you how to put your business message right in front of thousands of prospects at a very affordable price. Solion Broadcasting, 509-888-2020.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. No wonder women are angry, and no wonder they're speaking out. For far too long, we've ignored the fact that women have been abused and harassed at the hands of some men. And yes, maybe it's not you, but it's somebody. Official stats used to be that 1 in 4 women would be sexually assaulted to some degree by the time she graduated high school. But in reality, this statistic is far too conservative. But even accepting that it's 25% of women who suffer this abuse, isn't that conservative figure a justifiable explanation for why women are speaking out and demanding change? Of course it is. This is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and that's my opinion.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCWLIFE Sports.
I'm NCWLIFE News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on NCWLIFE.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCWLIFE channel.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
Lakeshland Mailboxes is a small place with a lot to offer. Job one is shipping and receiving from A to Z. They pack it, they label it, they ship it. But did you know we also offer notary service, online computer access, legal forms, copies, greeting cards, and of course, mailboxes. Schland Mailboxes, everything you need in one small package.
Dear Mary Maids, please clean the kitchen, and the cabinets, and floors, and the chairs. And I wish you could clean the dog. Colin is now feeding himself. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No worries. We got it all cleaned up. Let's hope Colin gets past the spaghetti flinging stage soon. Till then, we've got you covered. See you next time, Mary Maids.
Welcome, Senator Hawkins. Hope you're having a good day today.
I am, Cal. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So let's dive right into this legislative session and where things are at right now. I understand there's a new carbon-free fuels bill that's made its way from the House to the Senate. What do you know about that?
Well, so there's a couple different carbon proposals. They actually have to do this session with fuels and transportation. So the low carbon fuel standard was a bill that has been proposed by the chair of the Energy and Environment Committee in the House. His name is Joe FitzSimmons out of West Seattle, and he sponsored that particular bill. It did get approved by the House, but it was I think a pretty hotly debated bill, and it did get a pretty split vote, but it is now over in the Senate for consideration. So I believe it will likely be advanced through the Senate Energy, Environment, Technology Committee. So it's not a committee that I serve on, but if it survives and advances through that committee, then it could come before the full Senate for consideration.
Now, my understanding is that that one is another bill that would eventually increase the gas tax. Is that what we're looking at with that?
Yeah, that's definitely what the estimates have contemplated. Anytime you force requirements onto fuels and people have to implement cleaner fuels or additional mandates, it could definitely drive up the cost of fuel. On the flip side, it could produce a cleaner fuel. So that's what the proponents of the bill are trying to do.
What's your first blush on this one, Brad? Are you of a mind to think that it's something worth seriously considering?
Well, I appreciate the interest in our transportation sector. I think when it comes to when we think about emissions in our state, because our electric sector is so clean, primarily because we're a hydro economy, the major source of greenhouse gas emissions in our state is from the transportation sector. So getting a handle of the emissions in our transportation system is important, but I don't favor the approach of mandating something statewide and sort of having the effect of punishing people for choosing to drive gasoline-powered vehicles. What I'd rather do is see the state provide continued incentives for purchasing of electric vehicles for people who choose to purchase electric vehicles, or hydrogen-powered vehicles. I'm working on a bill related to producing and distributing hydrogen. That's a clean fuel. So I think encouraging and incentivizing people to make those purchases rather than punishing people on the back end. So I guess it's just two different ways to go about potentially achieving the same outcome. There's carrots and sticks in the legislative process, and I prefer the carrots rather than the sticks.
Yeah, I've actually heard this bill framed as being a legislative climate change that Governor Inslee can hang his hat on as he campaigns for president. Is that how people are looking at it over there?
Well, I guess it depends on what lens you're looking through. I think people who have been following the governor's presidential campaign and his national ambitions look at the 100% clean electricity bill as one of the bills in the portfolio. This bill for clean fuels would be one of those two, similar to the theme of reducing our emissions. But I think the supporters of the bill, I can't speak for them, but I think they see it as more of a, it's our own bill, it's our own effort to try to produce cleaner air and reduce our carbon consumption and emissions and things like that. So I guess it all depends on what perspective you're looking at it through. So.
Well, speaking of Governor Inslee and his presidential ambitions, what do you think about that, about our governor running for president? First of all, do you think he has much of a chance? And second of all, do you think he'd be a good president?
Well, good questions, Cal. So I guess my first thought would be, I don't intend to vote for the governor. So let me just sort of preface my comments with that. He and I disagree on many policy issues and taxes and different approaches to government. But having said that, and I'm not a Democrat, but I certainly think it's pretty cool that he's running for president. When I look at, from a Republican point of view, and I look at the different Democratic candidates, and maybe there's 15 or 20 now that have announced, I actually think Governor Inslee is among the more qualified. He has congressional experience. He's served on both sides of the state. He has 8 years now or 6 or 7 years now of executive experience. Certainly our economy has been very strong while he's been our governor. There's differences of opinion as to who claims credit for that, but the facts are the facts, and our economy has been strong. So I think the governor brings a lot of experience to the arena. I think it's personally neat that he's on the national scene talking about issues and representing our state, because I noticed he wears the Washington Apple pin too, so he wears that proudly. So, the governor, even though he and I have disagreed on, like I said, many things, I do think he's a charismatic person. He's a likable guy. He is politically savvy. And when you look at his political qualifications, at least on paper, I think they stack up as good or better than any of the other Democratic members. I mean, I don't see Bernie Sanders as a viable candidate, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. Who are some of the others? I mean,
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, give me a break. Beto O'Rourke. There's no way he's better qualified than Governor Inslee, but we'll see how it all goes down. I guess the only person that I could see on paper that would be significantly more qualified on the Democratic side than Governor Inslee would probably be Joe Biden. I mean, one could argue that Governor Inslee doesn't have any foreign policy experience, although I know he interacts with the Premier of British Columbia, because we border Canada. And people could probably have said the same thing about Governors Clinton and Governors Reagan, that they somehow lacked a lot of foreign policy experience. So, but I'm sure that the members of the Democratic Party will sort out who their nominee will be. And if it's Governor Inslee, then, I do wish him the best. I must confess that I won't be voting for him, but if he wins the Democratic nomination, then I think that'd be definitely a good thing for him. One of the things that at some point, as the governor continues to pursue his national ambitions, it would be nice if he provided some clarity here in the state as to what he intends to do, whether he intends to seek a third term or plans to step away from his role as governor to pursue the national opportunities.
Now, some of your Republican colleagues have been very vocal about wanting the governor's security to be paid for by his campaign rather than through the state. He has a state patrol security team. I think it might be 2 people, maybe more. And they're saying that his travel out of state is putting a strain on that budget. Have you been part of that discussion at all?
I haven't been part of that discussion. Perhaps it's putting a strain on that budget. I don't believe it's putting a strain on the state budget in any way. But it is one of those interesting considerations. What do we want? Do we want to just provide the governor's security just in state? And then what about the situation of security out of state? And some people have said, well, we should just provide security in state. Then when it comes to out of state travel, when the governor interacts with other governors from other states, does he become a soft target in those circumstances? Certainly for campaign-related activities, it would make sense if we could differentiate a campaign activity from an official visit. But then when the governor may travel and transition from an official visit to a campaign visit and back and forth, I think it gets to be a little more complicated. Ultimately, and this may differ from some of my other Republican colleagues, but regardless of who our chief executive is in our state, and regardless of who our chief executive is in our nation, I want our governor and our president to be protected. And to me, that's very important. And if something were ever to happen to our governor, regardless of party, or our president, regardless of party, it would be a very sad day for our state and our nation.
Well, certainly that's true. Let's quickly talk about 2 of the bills we've discussed in the past that you have introduced, and that is you mentioned the hydrogen conversion bill, which would allow our PUDs to convert CO2 to... Okay, go ahead and explain it, Brad. I don't think I'm doing a good job of it.
Yeah, no, it basically would just allow our public utilities to produce and distribute hydrogen. So they would utilize one renewable resource, being water, and use electricity from that process and separate out the oxygen and create hydrogen, or H2. And hydrogen can be used is a clean, emissions-free fuel source and can be used to power vehicles. And
where is that bill?
That bill has passed the Senate. We passed the Senate unanimously, and is now before the House Energy and Environment Committee. And we had a hearing on the bill last Thursday, and representatives from PUDs and the Hydrogen Alliance and others testified in support of that. The hearing went really well, and we're hopeful that that bill will be approved by that committee soon. And then once it is, we're going to try to get it to the full House for a vote. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. What about the community forest pilot project, Nason Ridge Protection Bill, we'll call it? How is that one coming along?
That bill is doing well also, but it's not quite moving at the same pace as the renewable hydrogen bill. But that community forest pilot project bill, that is Senate Bill 5873, that bill passed the Senate by a vote of 41-5. So it had a really good vote out of the Senate, and is hopefully going to receive a hearing in the House committee, we believe, next week. So it has a couple different committees to advance through the process. Nason Ridge would be one of 3 designated community forest pilot projects that would be funded in the bill. And so it would resolve the long-term challenges associated with Nason Ridge if it is approved. So we're about halfway there, and I'm optimistic, but it's like anything, it's a lot of work to get anything to the governor's desk over here.
Yes, I'm sure it is. And I suppose there's a lot of budget stuff coming up, and I'm hoping that next time we talk, we'll have some solid figures to work from on the budget. But what are you seeing preliminarily on that?
Well, it's going to be interesting because a lot of the bills that my Democratic colleagues have advanced have significant cost impacts to the state. And not only do we have some additional challenges when it comes to funding the current maintenance levels of the budget, but funding some of these additional policy priorities that have been proposed, it's going to have a cost. And I think some of the budgets that have already been considered, at least that the governor proposed, contemplate a capital gains tax, an increase in a business occupation tax, real estate taxes that could drive up the cost of home affordability. So I am very concerned about the tax pressure. And I believe once the budgets get unveiled, and the House and the Senate Democratic members will unveil their budgets in the coming weeks, I think that's where we're going to ramp up the conversation about the taxes that are proposed in our state, and certainly I have a lot of concerns with it. It remains to be seen what the budgets are going to propose to do, but I'm not as optimistic this year as I have been in past years that I'll actually be able to vote for the budget this time around.
Yikes, Brad, it sounds like there may be tax increases headed our way.
Yeah, that kind of takes us full circle to one of our first interviews at the beginning of session where I was sort of predicting that. It'll be interesting, though, because as I mentioned, the political pendulum has swung way over. There are 49 different senators, 28 Democratic members, and 21 Republican members. Even if some of the Democratic members don't support the tax proposals, they still could have the votes to pass. You only need 25 votes to pass a budget in the Senate. And so even, like I said, if 3 of the 28 members of the Democratic Party don't support their own party's budget, they could still advance the budget with tax increases. So it remains to be seen as to what's coming down the pipeline, but I think we'll learn more in the next few weeks, and certainly the debate will ramp up from there once we learn about the proposals.
Well, thank you, Brad, and I'm sure we'll look forward to hearing about it from you, if not experiencing it ourselves. But anyway, I appreciate your being on again, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next time.
Thanks a lot, Cal. Always good to see you. Thanks.
You bet.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCWLIFE and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
Are you suffering with joint pain? Need orthopedic care sooner than later? For an orthopedic evaluation, there's no reason to wait weeks or months. You can get the help you need now from the experts at Lake Chelan Community Hospital, led by John Hopkins-trained Dr. Joshua Shohowski. Their orthopedic team specializes in sports medicine, knees, shoulders, and general orthopedics. When considering joint replacement, you should know all your options. Call or visit Lake Chelan Community Hospital today.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.
Highlander Grill and Golf Course is known as one of the finest wedding venues in the Wenatchee area. You do not have to be a member to come to Highlander. Highlander Golf Course offers a first-class backdrop for your wedding day. Our friendly professional staff will ensure your wedding and reception is picture perfect, from every moment leading up to the I do's to when the lights go down at the end of your reception. Hi, I'm Shalane, site coordinator for Highlander Grill. Give me a call to schedule your event today.
And welcome back to this Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. We are back here live in Studio 3 in downtown Wenatchee. As you almost certainly know by now, there was a shooting last night in Kittitas involving a Kittitas County Sheriff's Deputy, a City of Kittitas police officer, and a suspect. The Kittitas County Deputy and the suspect were both killed in this shooting, and the City of Kittitas police officer was seriously wounded. That officer is at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Apparently, the deputy was trying to stop an automobile somewhere in the Kittitas area. The driver refused to halt. The driver got out of his automobile, exchanged gunfire with both officers. Again, the deputy suffered a fatal gunshot wound. The officer was wounded, and according to King 5 TV, the suspect was taken to Kittitas Valley Hospital, and the suspect later died. Again, that's according to King 5 TV. The names of the officers involved and of the suspect have not been released pending notification. The City of Ellensburg Police Department is handling the investigation. They will have a news conference at 10 o'clock this morning, and we will have more on this on the evening news with Grant Olson. Again, a Kittitas County deputy is dead this morning. A City of Kittitas police officer is hospitalized at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle after a shooting, and apparently the suspect in this shooting has also been killed. On an entirely different note, let's take a look at your weather forecast one more time from the National Weather Service. I mentioned this at the top of the hour, and it needs to be mentioned again because the overnight lows are quite cool for this time of the year. We were down to 30 yesterday. We're at 34 right now. That's slowing down the snow melt, and that's a good thing. And that trend, according to the National Weather Service, is expected to continue for the next week or so. So the chances of field flooding and also flooding on small streams and creeks are possible, but they don't think it's actually going to happen. That's pretty good. One of the good things that's going on right now, because the snow is melting so slowly, that the area rivers and streams and creeks are able to take the snow as it goes into it because they're running quite low right now. So we're not expecting any significant flooding, and that's good. We'd like that. It's going to continue to be dry, continue to be mild. That 59 we're forecast high today is just a little bit above normal, 61 on Thursday. Then the high-pressure ridge, which is centered over British Columbia, is going to start moving out of position and breaking down, and that's going to allow for a couple of systems to pay us a visit. Nothing really dramatic. We'll have to deal with partly cloudy skies on Friday. Slight chance of light rain, I wouldn't bet on it. Saturday, it's going to be cloudy, upper 50s. Sunday, going to be cloudy, upper 50s. Next chance of measurable rain, about a 40% chance of rain, they tell us, the National Weather Service, right around Monday night into Tuesday. So, yeah, the spring equinox is almost here. It happens at 2:58 this afternoon, but we're still dealing with some winter-type conditions, especially with the overnight lows, which is slowing down the snowmelt. So we're not expecting any significant flooding, at least at this time. That could change, but the long-term forecast, although it's calling for above-average temperatures for the balance of the month of March, we're not talking about skyrocketing temperatures up into the 70s or near 80 like Seattle has been dealing with for the last couple of days. So all in all, no complaints at all. Tomorrow is the first full day of spring, and that means my friend Bonnie Orr will be dropping by. If you've driven around town over the last couple of days, you notice all the hardware stores and garden centers are open. They got the plants in there, the trees, what have you, the bushes, the shrubs. Is it ready to plant now? Don't plant anything until you hear Bonnie's advice. Bonnie knows what she's talking about. So Bonnie Orr will be my guest on tomorrow's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. And then on Friday, we'll be checking in via Skype with Lisa Bradshaw of the Don't Wait Project. She's down the road. She's been down the road on this project now, traveling all over the country and gathering those stories for the Don't Wait Project. We're going to be talking with Lisa via Skype a little bit later on this week, and we're going to air that interview, and you don't want to miss that on Friday. And in case you missed it, the Mariners won. They beat the Oakland Athletics early this morning. The final was 9-7, but the Wenatchee Wild lost to Cowichan Valley. They're now down 2-1 in that BCHL playoff series. Everybody, enjoy your first day of spring, all right? We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.